What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another show. So, last week, or a couple days ago actually, we talked about why Aang is the GOAT, and today we're going to be looking at the other side of the coin. We're going to be talking about Korra. Now, before the defenders come at me in the comments, let's look at a couple of facts. But before we do, like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you like this kind of content. Now let's get started. Now, Korra started out with more potential than any other avatar in history. She was bending the three elements before she could even walk right. She was raised in a literal fortress surrounded by the greatest masters of the White Lotus. She had it all. She had the wisdom of Katara, Zuko, and Tenzin at her literal fingertips, and yet she turned out to be a categorical failure who broke the most sacred part of the Avatar legacy. She had one job, and she failed at it. And we can't forget to talk about her lack of maturity, the temper, and a long list of mistakes that made Korra the worst Avatar to ever hold the title. And the most frustrating thing about Korra isn't her power, it's her personality. Aang was just 12 years old and he handled the genocide of his own people with more grace than Korra handled a simple disagreement. And despite being 17 and trained by the White Lotus, we can't forget that part, Korra starts to show with zero humility, a massive ego, and a massive temper. I mean, she treats Tenzin, her only airbending link, her only link to airbending, like garbage because she doesn't like his pace. Not to mention that she forgets the spiritual side of her duties because she's so obsessed with the physical fight. But the problem is, being the Avatar isn't just about punching things. She lacked the basic emotional intelligence to lead. And we see the manifestation of that in her relationships. The constant back and forth with Mako and Bolin, for example, wasn't just teen drama. It showed the fundamental lack of respect for people around her. She was just the jock avatar in a world that needed a spiritual bridge, and that's the truth. And we have to talk about the elephant in the room. The biggest failure in 10,000 years of Avatar history on Korra's watch, she lost it. She allowed Vatu and Unalaq to sever her connection to past lives, literally a library of knowledge. I mean, she couldn't connect to it anyway, but to just throw that all away, to just lose that because she got tricked. Korra can get tricked by a lemur monkey. I mean, let's just be honest. That's just the type of wisdom that she has. Aang, Roku, Kyoshi, they're all gone in an instant because Korra was outplayed by her own uncle despite being warned by everybody. Now, this isn't just a bad day at work. This is the destruction of the Avatar's greatest tool, the wisdom of the ages. Because of Korra's failure, future Avatars will never be able to consult Aang or Kyoshi or Roku. And this is a big deal because now all they have to lean on is Korra, who literally lacks wisdom in every shape of the word. She couldn't find her way out of a paper bag if it wasn't for the people around her. She essentially factory reset the most powerful entity on Earth because she was reckless. She was reckless to see the trap until it was too late. Now that is an unforgivable stain on her record. And of course, all avatars are judged by the previous avatar. And they don't have to be carbon copies. But the primary job of the avatar is to maintain balance. She could have fucked up everything else. Had she maintained balance and not lost 10,000 years or severed that connection to the Avatar state, it would have been all good. Anyways, let's look at her track record. Let's start off with the Equalist. She completely failed to address the systemic issue in Republic City, which allowed Amon to gain a massive traction. And he even took her bending away. And to be honest, I think Korra should have never had her bending restored. And that's just me, because it would have chopped her down to size, she would have still been the Avatar, but she would have been humbled. She would have been able to realize, oh, I don't have that big ass ego. Oh, I'm not the shit. Oh, I can't just punch my way through everything. Because without bending, what is Korra? Exactly, nothing. Also, let's talk about the spirits. She opened the spirit portals, which sounds progressive until you realize it caused absolute chaos for humanity. Wan closed it for a reason. It was to protect the balance. Spirits aren't all cute forest creatures. Many are dangerous and don't care about human life at all. She forced two worlds together that they weren't ready, and New Republic City became an overgrown mess as a result. And of course, we have to talk about the Red Lotus. Her inability to stay one step ahead led to the Earth Queen's assassination and the total collapse of the Earth Kingdom into anarchy. Every time Korra solved a problem, she created a bigger one. She was always reacting, never leading, while Aang and other avatars before him were proactively building a world of peace for the most part, right? Aang did that progressively, proactively for about 50 years. Korra's era was one of constant, violent instability, and that's just a fact, guys. Of course, the Korra defenders, you guys can let me know in the comments. You guys can come at me anyway. But what makes this a failure? What makes Korra a failure and not just growing pains is the context. Aang had to learn everything on the run. Korra had a literal 5-star support system. She had Katara to teach her healing and temperance. She had Tenzin for spirituality. She even had the guidance of Iroh in the spirit world, and she still couldn't figure it out. Despite all that wisdom, she remained stubborn, arrogant, and prone to Avatar state tantrums whenever things didn't go her way. She even treated the Avatar state like a power-up for a pro-bending match rather than a sacred defense mechanism. She even used the Avatar state to outrun airbending kids on the air wheel. I mean, she's not even a good enough bender to beat them without the power of the Avatar state, which is sad to be quite honest. Even by book 4, after recovery, she still struggled to find the middle ground that Aang found naturally at 12 years old. Now let's go ahead and wrap things up here. Korra had the potential to be the greatest. She did, and I'll give her that. I'll throw her a bone. She was a powerhouse bender. But as a leader, as the spiritual bridge, as the keeper of balance, she fell short in almost every single category. She left the world more divided, lost the past lives, and proved that even with the best training in the world, you can't teach maturity if the person doesn't want to learn. Korra isn't the worst because she's weak. No. She's the worst because she had everything literally given to her and still managed to break the world more than she fixed it. But guys, what do you think? Am I being too hard on her? Or is it time to admit that the Korra era was a straight up disaster? Let me know in the comments, smash that like button, subscribe to Misfit Reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.